Shelby Talcott with us. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Politics reporter at Semafor. When you see Kamala Harris, Michelle Obama, Liz Cheney, and now a lot of money behind ads for this very small group of people. Think about rural whites in Wisconsin, maybe some in Michigan and Pennsylvania. What's the data behind it?
Well, the data is Kamala Harris is performing much better among women than she is among men. And so if she were to win this election, there is a serious argument that it would be because of women. And some of those those undecided voters that Democrats are seeing are what they're hoping are, they call it ghost voters. So some of these young women who maybe haven't voted before or are low propensity voters, and they're hoping that the issues of abortion and Donald Trump's messaging will get them out to vote in large numbers.
So I totally get that, right? This concept of like the Taylor Swift voter, the young millennial Gen Z woman voting primarily on abortion rights. But this seems to be going after, and you've watched the ad, these are married women. And we always hear there's not so much a gender gap as there is a marriage gap. Married women tend to be more conservative. What's the message here? Yeah,
listen, the message here, as they are banking on the idea that female voters do not like Donald Trump on a personal level. And so the argument is, it's really interesting because what they're doing here also is sort of conceding the male vote. They're not going after the male vote in these ads. That is Donald Trump's vote.
They're almost kind of like demonizing the men in these what seem to be otherwise stable and loving relationships, right? It's an interesting play of like almost trying to divide a wedge between a woman and her husband.
Yeah, and it's notable because, again, Donald Trump is performing pretty well with males. And when you look at his rallies, that is the base that he is catering to right now. He's trying to get out the male vote. Kamala Harris in these ads is basically saying, okay, that's not our base anymore. Our base is female voters. And they're banking on the idea that female voters on a personal level don't like Donald Trump's rhetoric.
All right, and look, there's a lot of people who don't like Donald Trump's rhetoric. Megyn Kelly earlier on Vargas about this. Take a listen.
I know that it's mostly men for Trump and women for Kamala, and there's a massive gender gap here. But why lean into it? Yeah. I understand the strategy of going to Rogan, going to Sean Ryan, going to Theo Vaughn, and running up the numbers with the men. That's good. But the men I know, and I know a lot of Republican men, are not motivated by like racist jokes about Hispanics and blacks and sexist comments about women. Yeah, that's going to make me... No.
In the same way that Harris feels that she needs to juice the women vote, Trump feels he needs to juice the male vote?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're seeing that in everything he's doing. I mean, as Megyn Kelly said, you're seeing that in this sort of second RNC convention, which was the MSG rally on Sunday. And perhaps they take things a bit too far. And I've talked to Donald Trump's aides, and some of them have said, yeah, you know what, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have had that comedian on. But it is notable that they are leaning so heavily into it. They're leaning into it with his podcast. He's going on Joe Rogan. He's going on Theo Vaughn.
Vance is going on.
He's going on Joe Rogan tomorrow. And so there are concerns, though, when I talk to both campaigns, that they're not reaching out to some of these other groups of voters. So Kamala Harris isn't reaching out enough to men, and Donald Trump isn't reaching out enough to women.
Right, and no women, at least so far that we know, on the pep rally, although there's a woman at the stage right now, so maybe maybe the undercard changed at the Trump rally. This is fascinating, though. Reuters poll, single versus married women. Married women, Harris 46, Trump 46. Never married women 65. Never married women 28 for Trump. So there's a huge marriage gap here. And again, is there any sort of realization by the Harris team, or maybe it's worth the risk, that this ad that seems to say, like, you know what, you need to basically lie to your husband, doesn't really speak to the same people they want to reach, which seemingly are happily married, older, rural white women?
Yeah, I think it is it is a gamble. And the big thing is, when I talk to Donald Trump's campaign, they point out that sure, Kamala Harris is garnering a lot of female voters, but there is also a sect of the female vote that she is not garnering, and that is the group of women who are concerned about the economy, who are concerned about feeding their children, who are concerned about crime. And so those are the kinds of female voters. Oftentimes those are the married.
Right, those are married suburban women, yeah,
who might be leaning more towards Donald Trump.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below. to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.